Some people only love you when you're useful to them. When you lost your job, she lost her patience. She traded your vows for a richer man, packed her bags, and walked away without a tear. Months later, she sent a message with a smile in every sentence, an invitation to her wedding. She wanted you there. She wanted you to watch her marry a man with money. She wanted you to feel small, but she didn't know the truth. You weren't the same broken husband she walked out on. When you arrived, every person in that room learned who had really leveled up. But before I tell you what happened that day, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Some people only love you when you're useful to them. I learned that on the day my wife packed her bags and walked out of our small apartment. She stood in the doorway with a suitcase and a smile that did not reach her eyes. I asked her to stay. I asked her to wait while I found work again. She looked at me like I was a burden. "You used to have ambition," she said. "Now you are dragging me down. I want a life worth living." She left that same night. No hug, no second glance. The last sound I heard was the door closing. The first few weeks were quiet. Too quiet. I searched for work every morning and cooked cheap meals every night. I reread old messages from her, trying to understand where love had faded. Friends stopped calling. Family stopped asking questions. I sat alone with silence and bills. Then everything changed. One afternoon, I received a phone call from a company I applied to months earlier. They wanted an interview. 2 interviews later, I had a contract. Good salary, benefits, a company car. The kind of job that takes people years to reach. I worked hard. Harder than I ever had in my life. Long hours, long nights, no distractions. I built myself from the ground up while she enjoyed her new life with a wealthy older man. Months passed. Every time she posted pictures online, she looked happier. New clothes, expensive trips, fancy dinners. She blocked me, but her friends did not. I saw every detail. I saw her new world. She acted like I never existed. Then the wedding invitation arrived. A white envelope with gold lettering. My name written in handwriting I knew well. Inside, a thick card engraved with roses, and her new last name. She invited me to watch her marry another man. She wrote a short note. "I want you to see how my life turned out." It stung. Not the wedding, not the groom, the tone. She wanted to prove she traded up. She wanted applause for abandoning me when I was down. I held the invitation for a long time. Then I placed it on the table and said nothing. The next morning, I woke before sunrise. I shaved, put on a suit, and drove to work. I worked hard for months, saving every paycheck. I paid off my debts. I bought nicer clothes. I rented a better apartment. Every small victory made the pain smaller. By the time her wedding day arrived, I was not the same man she left. I stood in front of my mirror in a black suit. Clean shave, fresh haircut, confidence in every breath. I looked like someone new, someone strong. I drove to the venue, a large church surrounded by flowers and photographers. Guests walked in wearing expensive dresses and polished shoes. Luxury everywhere. I stepped out of my car. Heads turned. People whispered. They did not expect me to show up. They expected a broken man. They expected sadness. I gave them silence and confidence. Inside, her family sat in the front row. They stared at me like I was a ghost. Her mother tilted her head with confusion. Her father looked embarrassed. They knew what she did. They knew how she left. I took my seat near the aisle. The music started. The groom walked in with a grin bright enough to blind someone. Tall, expensive watch. A man built from money, not heart. Then she walked in. White dress, red lipstick, hair curled with perfection. She looked powerful, proud, above everyone. But when her eyes landed on me, the pride slipped. Shock, fear, recognition. I sat with my hands folded, calm and steady. Her step slowed. She blinked fast. She looked at the groom, then back at me as if reality shifted under her feet. She never expected me to stand tall. She expected the same man she left. Weak, poor, broken. Instead, she saw someone stronger. The ceremony began. Vows, promises, laughter. I stayed silent. When the priest asked if anyone had a reason to stop the wedding, the room went still. People always stay quiet during that moment. But this time, someone stood. Not me. Her first maid of honor. Her cousin. The one who knew every detail of her life. She stepped forward with shaking hands and a trembling voice. I cannot stay silent. Before you marry him, he should know how this relationship started. Gasps filled the church. My ex-wife froze. The groom stared at her cousin with disbelief. She left her husband when he lost his job, the cousin said. She said she found someone richer. That is why she is here today. The groom's smile collapsed. The guests murmured. Her mother covered her face. The wedding was falling apart. My ex-wife tried to speak. This is not true. Her cousin pointed in my direction. He is sitting right there. She threw him away like trash. All eyes turned to me. I stood slowly, calm, controlled, not angry, not loud. I am not here to ruin anything, I said. I am here because she asked me to come. The groom stepped closer. Is this true? She broke. I was scared. I wanted security. I made a mistake. He stared at her with disgust. You wanted my money. Silence spread through the room like smoke. I walked toward her. She looked up at me with wide eyes. You wanted me to see your new life, I said. Now everyone sees the truth. I turned toward the exit. Behind me, she called my name. Her voice cracked. Please, don't leave. I stopped, turned, looked her in the eyes. You left me for being poor. Now you lost everyone for being greedy. She sank to the floor in her white dress. Guests whispered. The groom walked out. Her family followed. The wedding was over. I stepped outside into the sunlight. A clean sky, a clean life. I walked to my car and never looked back. Yes, some people only love you when you're useful to them. I drove away from the destroyed wedding without music, without celebration, without anger. The quiet felt clean. For months, I expected revenge to taste bitter. Instead, it tasted like freedom. That night, I sat in my apartment with the lights off, watching the city glow through the window. My phone buzzed nonstop, unknown numbers. Her relatives, even the groom's sister. Everyone wanted to talk. Everyone wanted a statement. I ignored every call except one. Her cousin, the same cousin who exposed her, sent a message. I'm sorry you had to go through that. She hurt you. Someone needed to say it. I replied with 2 words. Thank you. She didn't message again. She didn't need to. Truth had already done its work. The next morning, I woke early and went to work. My boss pulled me into his office and handed me a letter. You've shown dedication, he said. You've turned setbacks into results. We're promoting you. Promotion. Higher pay. A raise that would change everything. I shook his hand. Thank you, he smiled. I know a lot about you. I know how strong you had to be. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself, not because of who I had been, but because of who I had become. At lunch, I walked into a small restaurant near the office. The smell of fresh food filled the air. I sat at a corner table and ordered steak and vegetables. No more counting coins. No more cheap leftovers. The waiter set the plate down, and for the first time in a year, a meal tasted like success. But peace didn't last. My ex-wife showed up. She stood next to my table with swollen eyes and a shaking voice. Please talk to me. I stayed seated, calm, strong. She sat across from me without asking. Everything fell apart, she said. He left. His family hates me. My parents won't even pick up the phone. I cut a piece of steak and ate silently. She leaned forward. Say something. You wanted me to watch your new life, I said. You got what you wanted. I watched. Tears filled her eyes. She reached across the table and touched my hand. I moved it away. I didn't love him. she whispered. I just wanted stability. You walked out when I was at my lowest, I said. That wasn't survival. That was betrayal, she wiped her cheeks. We can fix this. I will stay with you. I will get a job. I will start fresh. No, I said. Her voice cracked. Why not? Because I don't want you anymore. She froze. The world stopped for her in that moment. I thought you would wait, she whispered. I did. Once. She broke down in the middle of the restaurant. People stared. Some shook their heads. Some whispered. But nobody stepped in. Nobody felt sorry for her. Everyone could see the truth on her face. She looked at me with desperate eyes. Please don't leave. You left first, I said. The only difference is now you can see it. She stood slowly. I will never stop fighting for us. There is no us anymore. She walked out of the restaurant in silence. I finished my lunch, paid the bill, and stepped outside. The sun was bright. My chest felt light. It felt like the end. But the story didn't end there. Days passed. She kept trying. Calls, messages, long paragraphs filled with guilt and promises. I blocked her number. I blocked her email. Her friends tried reaching me. Blocked. Her parents sent letters. I sent them back unopened. One afternoon, I received a call from an unknown woman. I ignored it. She sent a voicemail. Her voice sounded tired. Please. She's not doing well. She is drinking. She won't leave her room. You're the only one she asks for. I deleted the message. Healing doesn't come from pity. Healing comes from boundaries. After 2 months, life became normal again. Work. Progress. Peace. Then something unexpected happened. At a business conference, I saw a familiar face. Her cousin. She approached with a gentle smile. Mind if I sit? Go ahead. She sat and placed her drink on the table. I wanted to thank you again. Not for what happened to her, for showing everyone what she really became. I wasn't trying to ruin her. I know. You were telling the truth. People needed to see it. She looked at me with calm eyes. How are you? Better, she nodded. She's gone. She moved out of state, left everything. She couldn't stay here. I stayed silent. She asked me to tell you she's sorry. I know you don't care. I just wanted you to hear it once. I took a sip of my drink. Thank you, she smiled softly. You deserve better than what she gave you. Our eyes met for a moment, long, clear, honest. You know, she said, you walked into that wedding with dignity. Most people would kill for revenge. You didn't have to scream or break anything. You just showed up. That was enough? Yes, it was. We talked for an hour. About work, about mistakes, about trust. She laughed easily. It felt natural. No lies, no pain. When the conference ended, she stood and gave me a small smile. Maybe we'll see each other again. Maybe. She walked away. Calm, confident, kind. That night, I lay in bed and thought about everything. My marriage, the pain, the humiliation, the journey back. Somewhere along the way, revenge stopped being the goal. Life became the goal. Some people fall apart when love ends. Some people rise. I chose to rise. Yes, some people only love you when you're useful to them. A few weeks passed after the conference. Work was steady. Sleep was peaceful. I no longer woke up remembering betrayal before my feet touched the floor. My life didn't revolve around being angry anymore. It revolved around being free. One Friday evening, while getting ready to leave the office, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Normally I ignored those, but something made me answer. Hello? A familiar voice spoke, calm, steady, and gentle. Hi, it's me, Clara, her cousin. She cleared her throat softly. I hope I'm not calling it a bad time. No, I'm finishing work. I'm nearby. There's a cafe across the street. If you aren't busy, maybe we could talk. I thought for a moment, not out of hesitation, just clarity. She didn't owe me anything. I didn't owe her anything. But she had been honest when no one else was. I'll be there in a minute. I walked across the street. She sat at a small table outside, hair pulled back, a cup of tea cupped in her hands. When she saw me, her smile was quiet. Not the kind someone forces, the kind someone feels. "Thank you for coming," she said. I sat down. "How have you been?" "Better now." "Life slowed down," she sighed. "My family is still dealing with the mess she left behind." I stayed silent. She continued. "She asked me to deliver one last message. She said you deserved a final explanation. I told her you didn't need one. But she begged." Clara looked up. "Do you want to hear it?" I shook my head. "No," Clara nodded. I figured. We let the silence rest between us. People walked by, cars passed. The world moved like nothing dramatic ever happened. She looked into her cup. "You know what I realized? You never tried to destroy her. You only gave the truth room to speak. That's rare." "I was tired of being quiet," I said. "You should never have been quiet in the first place," she replied. "You deserved respect." The wind picked up. The cafe sign rocked gently. She took a breath. "Can I ask something personal?" "Go ahead. Do you still love her?" I didn't need to think. "No, not even a little." She watched my face carefully, making sure it was true. When she saw it was, her shoulders relaxed. "Good," she whispered. We talked for an hour, 2 hours, about life, not pain, about goals, not revenge. She had a calmness I hadn't felt around anyone in years. No judgment, no agenda, no manipulation. When the sky turned orange, her phone buzzed. She checked it and sighed. "I should go. Work tomorrow." She stood, hesitated, then looked into my eyes. "You know, if you ever want company or a friend or something more later, I'm not running from you." I didn't rush. I didn't make promises. I simply nodded. "I'll call you," I said. She smiled. "I hope you do." She walked away, and for the first time since my marriage ended, my heart didn't feel heavy. It felt alive. Days later, I received a small envelope in the mail. I almost threw it out, thinking it was junk, until I noticed the handwriting. Hers. My ex-wife. I opened it slowly. Inside was a short letter. "I am leaving the country. I have nothing left here. You were the best part of my life, and I threw you away. I hope you find happiness. I hope someone treats you the way you treated me. I am sorry. I will never contact you again." I set it on the table. No anger. No sadness. No satisfaction. Closure, true closure, isn't loud. It doesn't need tears or arguments. It's the moment you read a letter from someone who once owned your heart and feel nothing. That night, I called Clara. "Do you want to get dinner?" I asked. Her voice lit up. "I'd like that." We met at a quiet restaurant near the water. No wedding dresses. No broken promises. No lies. Just two people who survived betrayal and didn't let it turn them cold. Halfway through dinner, she reached across the table and took my hand. "You deserve a new beginning," she said. "Not a memory." I squeezed her hand back. "So do you." After dinner, we walked by the water. The city lights reflected on the river. She rested her head on my shoulder. No pressure, no rush. A soft start built from respect. Some stories end with anger. Some end with revenge. Mine ended with peace. My ex-wife disappeared into her own past. My future stood beside me, quiet and steady. And somewhere between pain and healing, I realized something important. Being left wasn't the worst day of my life. Staying with someone who only loved money would have been... She left because she thought I had nothing. She was wrong. I built myself. I found strength. I found dignity. And maybe, slowly, I would find love again. I walked home that night with a clear heart and a steady future. Revenge wasn't destroying her life. Revenge was rebuilding mine. If you love emotional stories about betrayal, strength, and new beginnings, the next one will hit harder. And if you want a free collection of stories you can listen to anytime, there's a downloadable gift waiting in the description. Some stories hurt, some heal, one of them might feel like your own.